Hey, what's up, everybody? Crap Gamer here. As many of you guys know, I do daily gaming-related content. That's kind of my shtick. I make sure that I do that for you guys, and you guys like to be entertained and things like that. Well, I'm doing one today, and the time just kind of slipped away from me. I was more or less just having a good time playing some Batman, to be honest with you, and you know, and so here I am. I decided to kind of do this video, and hopefully you guys dig it. I'm gonna wait for a little bit of the audience to build up before I jump into the meat of the conversation. But I hope you guys have all been doing well and everything. There is some interesting news that I want to cover aside from the obvious, which is this site that posted this interesting information about the Xbox One and how it won E3 according to according to this pretty big site based on social media and things like that. But I want to get in a little bit more to that. But I actually want to talk about an interesting thing as well, which is maybe you guys don't know, this developer called People Can Fly. They were owned by Epic Games, and they actually were the ones that created a pretty kick-ass game called Bulletstorm. And they ended up that game did okay, but I think the fact that it lacked some multiplayer, like a definitive team deathmatch or versus multiplayer. It had co-op kind of thing that was okay, but they also kind of messed up Gears Judgment, in my opinion. But they're okay developer, but they actually gained their independence, and I think they got the Bulletstorm IP as well, and they're working on a new game. So that's an extra developer to be thrown in for the mix there, and that's always good because we seem to lose so many, and I'm pretty excited. And hopefully, they are going to work on a situation like a Bulletstorm 2 or something along those lines, because I thought that was a really underrated game. I really enjoyed it immensely. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, also, congratulations to Sony fans. They kind of hung out, and you're going to get your PlayStation Plus version of Driveclub. Looks like tomorrow. They had a little bit of a premature launch yesterday, where it came up on the studio or whatever, that you could download it as a PlayStation Plus game, and then they took it away real quick, and now they're saying that they're going to do it tomorrow. The only hang up is, even after all this time, they say the servers aren't ready, so it's going to be it's going to be a situation where you're going to be playing offline only, which is kind of interesting because, I mean, realistically, how often, did they really need to take this long to do that if they're just going to give you the offline mode to start with anyway? I mean, how bad are these servers that they're using? Like, I would really question kind of Sony's work ethic, I guess, and some of the laziness of the developer. Here we are. We had this game that was promised to you 2013 at the PS4 reveal, day and date. PlayStation Plus subscribers would get this at the launch of the PlayStation 4. Okay, it's delayed. You can understand that. Sometimes games get delayed. Then the game gets delayed almost a year, and they still don't have the PlayStation Plus version. To me, that's just kind of ridiculous, completely ridiculous. And then you fast forward even longer, almost another year later, and you don't have the PlayStation Plus version. And when you do finally get it, guess what? You can't play it online. And I think that that's kind of a really fucked up thing. I think that what are people paying for when they pay for PSN Plus? Maybe somebody, if you're a Sony fan, you can explain to me what you're paying for with that, because as far as I can tell, you're getting the same exact service you got for free with the PS3, which wasn't all that reliable to begin with, but at least it was free. So you could always say, hey, it's not the best service, but hell, at least it's free. And now you can't even do that. So I think it's a situation where, you have to look at yourself and say, what the hell am I doing? You know what I mean? Why am I paying this? That's at least what I do anyway. I'm like, what the hell am I paying for? This is really, really bad. But if you guys wanted to know a little bit about Batman, then I'd be happy to kind of throw that little bit of preview out there as well. I don't know if you guys, how many of you guys picked up Batman? Maybe let me know in the comment section. I'm kind of working on a initial impressions kind of deal as well. But anyway, the thing is that I think the game's fantastic. Just between us. And I think that it's definitely the definitive Batman experience. You know what really kind of surprises me about it? I'm not going to give any spoilers away on this, but or at least I'm going to try not to. But just the way that he's kind of a darker Batman. I kind of like that. I think that he is, he's probably as dark as he's been in the entire trilogy. Or there's actually 4 games, but I guess you don't have to count the first one, Arkham Origins, or the the prequel or whatever, even though I like that one. But this one, it's got Kevin Conroy back as Batman, and it's just got a dark kind of feel to it. It's got an open world to it. I think it's phenomenal. I'm so impressed with this game on a lot of levels, and I do get one bit of satisfaction as well, and that is the fact that the PS4 version is totally fucked, and I think that that's hilarious, and not because I dislike PC or whatever the case may be. I just think that they brag so much about having PC Master Race and PC so good and PC this and PC that, and they come to find out that Rocksteady didn't even do the game for PC. They outsourced it, and this is something that WB actually does a lot, and it just goes to show how much they really think of PC gamers, and it's obviously not very much. And when you consider that how many PC gamers bootleg and mod and hack and do all this kind of crazy crap, I can't say I blame them. If I'm putting in a bunch of work, you want to do, put your game out where it makes you money, and that's obviously going to be consoles. It's not going to be the PC. But I will say that, man, the game looks phenomenal. I'll say this. Between The Witcher 3 and Batman Arkham Knight, I think there's your almost unofficial start to next generation, in my opinion. And the reason why I say that, I think there's other games before that, obviously, that were obviously next gen, in certain ways, maybe graphically or something that was, you know what I mean? But as far as I'm concerned, like what I noticed in Arkham Knight is you can, you're driving the Batmobile around the town and it looks phenomenal, and it's a big world, and there's NPCs, and there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of effects going on at the same time. But not only that, but these people move out of the way. Like the NPCs are smart. That's what I wanted. When I was thinking next gen, that's pretty much what I wanted. Like bigger worlds. It was something they couldn't do. Obviously, it's something that they couldn't do on the Wii U because they didn't put it on there, or last gen stuff. Everything looks phenomenal. I just think that that's what they did, and they're taking advantage of the hardware, which is why it's not on last gen consoles. And the same thing with Witcher 3. It's like something that seems small, like dynamic beard growth, but and that seems so stupid to even bring that up, but I think that it's just absolutely amazing. I love it. I think it's fantastic, and I think that that's kind of what what next generation should be about. You know what I mean? And I think that I think that that's fantastic. Let's see what do we got here. Oh, we got some comments. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for hanging out and rocking out with me a little bit. It's just going to be me tonight. I couldn't really get a hold of anybody. I think people get busy a little bit during the week, but I wanted to at least do a video because that's kind of what I promised you guys, and you know what I mean. But anyway, on to the actual matter of this video, and that is Microsoft winning E3 according to social media outlets and according to this site. Now, this site is saying that they have a couple of different distinct things that they're judging this on, just so you guys know. And hold on one second. I'm going to pull this up. Just bear with me real quick. Yeah, okay. There we go. Basically, this site judges social media activity during and then after each presentation, and Microsoft had like almost 4 million different mentions and things like that after their D3. But that's not the most important. So, and then at E3, there was a lot. There was that Horizon game. There's the rare replay, the Gears Ultimate, the Hitman game. There was a lot of stuff that was announced specifically at E3, and so they're judging pre-orders after that announcement. And Rare Replay actually was #1 on that, and Gears Ultimate was in the top 5. And then games that we already knew about but saw the biggest increase after their E3 for one was Forza Motorsport 6, and it saw an increase of over 1,000%. So when people saw the showing that game had at E3, everybody was kind of all in on that. And obviously with the pre-orders and stuff like that. Now, I was already pre-ordering mine anyway, but I just think that it's interesting. Mostly I'm just happy that people seem to be finally getting over that Xbox sucks kind of mentality. And, that to me, that's so generic, oh, Xbox sucks or Xbox stinks or, whatever the case may be, or, hey, they try to do DRM or they try to do this or they try to do that. In my opinion, if you're a gamer, you're going to get a console that has good games and games that you want. I bought a PS4 and that Horizon game interests me. Uncharted 4 interests me. You know what I'm saying? So obviously I'm going to get some games on the PS4. If you see something on Xbox One that interests you, hey, pick up an Xbox One and buy it. And I'm glad to see that these games are coming along and that people are excited by what you see. And in my opinion, it was never a question on who won E3, because Microsoft, they showed stuff that we're getting this year. Sony showed stuff for 2-3 years out, and to me that's not impressive. That's not what really E3 is all about. I wanted to see some stuff maybe to surprise me this year. Like, even though it's not a big surprise for many, I am a Rare fan, and the Rare Replay thing, 500. I guess if you add up all the games retail or whatever, some of them you can't even find. Some of their earlier stuff, it's like almost $600 worth of games, and you're getting it for $30 with a bunch of achievements and things like that. So I think that is something that's like fan service, and I'm a fan of, because unlike Next Gen, who says he doesn't suffer from nostalgia, I do. I'm a big fan of that stuff, and sometimes I admit, like, the newer stuff, as far as I like the achievement situation as well. So I like the idea that I get to actually play these old games and get achievements for them as well. So, I mean, I know some of you guys are probably thinking along that same line as I am, and that is, hey, you get to play some of these old games maybe that you grew up with, and you also get achievements for it as well. So I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, I realize that I'm not a big remake fan. I think that earlier in the year, it's a perfect time for them because there's not a lot else out. And so, the same thing with the Gears thing. I was really surprised at how well that game played. I was really excited with how the Gears beta played. I thought that the 60 frames per second really kind of strung everything together. I was really fantastically surprised by that. I don't know if you guys have ever played Gears 1 or if you're fans of Gears 1, but to me, that was like the darker story, and that was the story that that kind of, brings you in the most, and then I do agree that the other ones kind of lost that little bit of edge, even though I thought all the stories were good. The first one, in my opinion, was probably the best of the bunch. And then to be able to replay that, not only do you get to be able to replay that, but I guess you're getting 5 or 6 extra missions that weren't really available. That they weren't available in the Xbox 360 version, so that's cool. Some levels for the campaign or whatever, and they're also incorporating the level up system from Gears 3 because they didn't have that in Gears 1, and they're also incorporating the spot system where you press down on the thumbstick and you can spot enemies and things like that, and I think that's pretty kick-ass. And they also totally redid all the cutscenes and obviously all the lighting and everything. It looks gorgeous, so I'm really impressed with that. And yeah, it's just remakes or whatever, but I think that we as gamers are going to have to put up with a mixture of remakes and remasters, and obviously it's a shifting kind of landscape, so you're not going to see like the true double A's that you used to. We used to get double A games a lot, and now I think those are pretty much taken up by indies and things like that. We're going to see like that new Platonic game Ukulele, that's probably going to be a solid double A title. But we used to have all these type of titles. Maybe you guys remember like Banjo-Kazooie and Jack and Dexter and Sly Cooper, and we used to have all these kind of titles that were really, I mean, I wouldn't really consider them AAA, but more like AA. I guess you could say by the time Jack 3 came around that was a AAA, but nowadays, we just don't have a lot of that, and I think that it's kind of important to have a good mix of games. Like I know I'm a big AAA kind of guy, and I like those games most and best, but you got to have a little bit of variety in there as well. And I think that even though I'm not a big remake guy, and like the Uncharted thing, it makes sense to be released all 3 games on the PS4 because you're getting the 4th game on the PS4. Maybe people didn't play it. I get it, right? I'm hip. I'm cool. I'm with it. I understand. Same thing with the Halo Master Chief Collection. Do the Halo story, all on one console right before Halo 5 comes out. Give people a chance to play through the campaigns and experience that, because you have to figure a lot of people maybe never played Halo 1 or 2, certainly. You know what I mean? Maybe they hadn't played Halo 4. Who knows? Maybe they never played an Xbox and just wanted to play all the Halo campaigns before the new one comes out. I can understand that. Like, I know that sometimes I bash that a little bit, but I can understand certain aspects of releasing that. There was sometimes that I didn't understand it. Like, why would you release The Last of Us less than a year later on the PS4 for the same price, like the full price? Like, to me, it comes, a lot of things bug me, and I guess like the pricing issue is one of the things that bugged me, because I know for a fact that just for something with a little lighting tweak or something like that, that's not really worth $60. Especially when it came out just last generation. Like, to me, that's a ripoff. I'm not really a fan of that, and I think that Sony kind of gets away with that. They get away with a lot of stuff. Even with this Driveclub PlayStation Plus edition stuff, people are like, "Oh, they're good. They're finally keeping their promise by releasing the PlayStation Plus version of Driveclub." And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, "Are you fucking kidding me? Keeping your promise when you say day and date with the launch of PS4? Guess what? That was 2013. We're in 2015, so that's not exactly a promise kept, in my opinion." You know what I mean? So I'm not going to sit there and let them off the hook for that, because I think that that's fucked up. And then not only that, but it's going to launch with no online support at first. So I think that that's something that they could have done, no online support, a year ago. You know what I mean? I don't understand what the hell the delay is with that. But hey, they are getting they did manage to get the PSN Plus version of that out before Forza Motorsport 6. So at least Microsoft didn't get their 3rd racing game out before they even got the PlayStation Plus version out. So kudos to them. I think that it's a little bit funny. But anyway, if you guys are just joining me, the whole reason that I'm doing this video is, and I left it in the link, a link in the description. You guys can check it out. But before I hit on that a little bit more again, I wanted to ask you guys to support Big Gamer Small Talk. I also put that link in the description. You can buy our shirts and stuff, particularly me, if you guys are big Xbox fans, and like the Calvin kind of picture with me like pissing on a PS4, then I think that you guys will like that. Because there's different things you can get that on. You can get it on like a mug, a shirt, a hoodie, whatever the hell you want. iPad case, iPhone case, Android phone case, whatever you want. If you want a sticker, it's like a couple bucks or whatever. It's definitely, and you know what? It supports Big Gamer Small Talk and what we do. We're trying to become a better podcast and actually be able to go to some events and things like that. And so that requires a little bit of funds, and as a group, and it's going to get quite costly. So if you guys could support us by buying some stuff, you get stuff, we get stuff. It all works out for everyone, hopefully. Anyway, I hope that it all works out, so. So anyway, yeah, I just wanted to point out real quick that, I'm really appreciative of everything you guys do for us. And, oh yeah, hold on. My gamer tag is MOH Crap Gamer, MOH space Crap Gamer. Yep. That's the gamer tag. And, yeah, that's really, you guys are welcome to follow me on Xbox Live. But anyway, yeah, I just want to hit on this a little bit more now that more people have joined, is that this site actually did kind of a good research problem. There was like almost 4 million people were tweeting and talking about Xbox on social media after their E3. That was more than anybody else. I think it was something like 74% of all social media posts were pro Xbox. And I think that that is something that we can't take too lightly. I really think that it's a turning point for the Xbox One. Apparently that the Amazon stuff was the UK, but the social media was worldwide, which is something that I think is really cool, and you can't really understate it. I think that when you're talking about like 4 million or so people talking about your product, and they're mostly excited about what you're doing, and I think a lot of it has to do with the backwards compatibility stuff, which, by the way, Microsoft confirmed, hey, we're going to be doing backwards compatibility with Xbox 360, and there's a possibility of the original Xbox. The achievements are backwards compatible. The DLC is going to be backwards compatible. We're just waiting on, I think they're still working on a workaround for multiple discs, and I think that once they do that, it's going to be just this megaton thing. I do see some PlayStation fans kind of begrudgingly say now that this is a cool thing, but because originally you had people saying that it wasn't, and that it sucked and it's terrible and nobody wants it, and it's something that nobody's going to use. Well, I got to be honest with you, and I've already used it quite a bit. I'm looking forward to using it even more so when they add more titles to it. By the time it comes out this holiday, there's going to be over 100 titles, and I think that I've seen a lot of people say, hey, now's a good time to trade up, get your Xbox One, but save your Xbox 360 titles, because most of them you're probably going to be able to play on your Xbox One anyway, especially like if you have any of the digital arcade titles or the exclusives or first party stuff or anything that was maybe just on Xbox and PC. And I think that that's really cool. You know what I mean? I think that that's what you need to do to have the all-in-one console. If you want, to be called the Xbox One for being the all-in-one, then you've got to be able to play the other games. And I think that that can't be understated. And I think that it's about time that, Microsoft started getting its props and things like that. And it looks like the media, between the social media and, of course, not all the big sites gave Xbox the win. And I understand that. It's something that, that's something that, that's going to happen still. And the reason why that happens could be various reasons. Could it be biased media? Yes. Could it be just opinion? Yes. I think it could be a bit of everything. And I think that, that's a little bit unfortunate. But at the same time, I think that Microsoft is fighting back, and I realize, they aren't having to go out of their way to talk shit. And I think that that's cool. And the way they're going about it is kind of just building up momentum, and they're able to, just put that out in a positive kind of light. And I think that that's, I think that that's really cool. And I'm impressed with what they got as far as E3 recognition. Even if somebody said, like, some people were like, well, PlayStation won, and I'm like, okay, well, that sucks that somebody thinks that. It's different than what I think, because, I think that Microsoft won based on showing stuff that was right now, and as well as some stuff for, a year later, not 2 or 3 years later. And it wasn't just kind of niche titles. Like, no matter how you want to work it, I'm going to be honest with you, Shenmue 3, The Last Guardian, those two things are niche as the hell. Those Japanese games, they probably, would have fared better at TGS or something. I'm not saying that nobody in America will play those games or buy those games. Obviously, Shenmue 3 has garnered a lot of support. I'm not sure what it's up to as far as donations, but I think that those games, just like that ukulele game, I don't remember how many people have donated something, but it was under 100,000. Those are the people that are going to buy the game. And so if each of those people were going to buy the game, that's only 100,000. You know what I mean? That's not a large number of people buying a game. You're talking, and you'd have to go millions before that's considered a large amount of people supporting a game. And I think that as far as Shenmue, I'm not sure what the numbers were for this series all along. I'm not sure if it's ever done anything really fantastic, but to me, it just always seemed like an expensive series that that never really sold that well. Let's see. Backwards compatibility, does that mean that when that train wreck Guitar Hero Live, we can play good games like Guitar Hero 3. You know what? I'm not sure with the Guitar Hero stuff. Here's the interesting thing. Rock Band is going to allow you to play with their old instruments. So you can play with old instruments on your Xbox One. I'm sure if they do backwards compatibility with Rock, and you can import your old save files. I don't think you can do that with Guitar Hero. So Steven Turner says, have you seen the Tomb Raider 15-minute gameplay footage? Yeah, I saw it. I think that it looked fantastic. I think that that's one of my most anticipated titles. I'm really excited for it. I have it pre-ordered. I'm hoping. I'm not sure if they're going to do a collector's edition or not. I think that it's really important to buy the things you like. Let's see. Polly Straight One says, such a loser to care about this stuff. Yeah, that's me, man. I'm a loser. I care about this stuff. But you know what happens if nobody talks about this stuff? Then you would just have Sony fanboys just running wild. I think kind of what I do is keep them in check, and I'll continue to do that as long as I can and have a good time with it. I mean, if you don't care, then don't watch. If you don't like it, then don't watch. I don't force anybody to watch. No, there's no gun to your head. There's no nothing like that. I'm just a kind of an opinionated gamer who likes to talk about games and, have a good time. You know what I mean? If you don't like it, I will never understand the mentality of people that, complain about something that's optional. Just in my opinion, why you guys would complain about something optional, I don't know. I'm just having fun talking about games, guys. You know what I'm saying? Mike Ortiz says, what up, crap? It amazes me how anyone could think that Sony won E3. They had no good games and a bunch of videos, barely any live demos, and these people are in denial. There's no way that Sony won. I agree. I think that, it's a situation where Sony didn't do much to impress me. That Horizon game looked good. Will it come out next year? Who knows? They've already said The Last Guardian probably not coming out till the year after. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's something that I'm just not interested in for the most part. I think they don't cater. It's not just an American thing, because I know people outside of America that prefer Xbox as well. I think that Sony just doesn't cater well to my taste. I'm not sure exactly why. It could be that I like online games a lot. I like that really connected kind of feel, and Sony's online feels a lot like a couple of generations ago. Let's see here. People still talking about Sony's E3 event when backwards compatibility is all anyone can talk about. There's a problem. Yeah, I mean, Sony's event wasn't impressive. Backwards compatibility was a megaton. Even Sony's come out and said it was a miracle that Microsoft did it. They were surprised that they were able to do it. I think that we were all kind of surprised that they were able to do it, mostly because, we were told that it was impossible because of the architecture. So I think that it's an interesting situation, to say the least. As far as Sony being able to do that, I don't see how they can. I think Sony might be scrambling to do something, because at this particular juncture, they really kind of have their balls in a vice, because you have people that are complaining, hey, why are we doing this? Why are we, what can we do to combat that? Microsoft, it really kind of zinged us where you could play your old games. Sony spent $400 million on Gaikai to get, to get this streaming service so that they could stream games but make you pay for them. So I think that, you know what I'm saying? I think that it's interesting that, it'll be interesting to see what they do. I don't know if you guys are interested in that as much as I am, but I do think it'll be interesting. Let's see. Mitch Should Dyer IGN says, hey, Crap Gamer, love your vids. Please work with me on IGN. There's no one cool here except Sony ponies like me. Hey, I'm not a big fan of Mitch Dyer at IGN either. I think that whole kind of podcast Unlocked, except for that Sean Finnegan dude, I think he's okay. But, yeah, Mitch Dyer and that whole crew there is just really bad. I mean, if you don't have to ride Microsoft's tip the whole time, but hell, at least act like you enjoy it and game on the damn thing once in a while. You know what I mean? It would be like me doing something called the Official PlayStation Podcast, and I spend all my time on Xbox. You know what I mean? So hopefully that can help you guys understand where I'm coming from a little bit with that. AZHYY says, hope World of Tanks will be in 4K, so Sony ponies will shut their mouths about resolution. Well, you know, the whole resolution thing is kind of pointless in my opinion. I think you're going to see less and less of that. The days of 720p are certainly gone. You're going to be seeing, you know, 900p and up, 1080p most of the time. But like with, you know, you don't want to suffer frame rate and things like that. I heard that World of Tanks, actually what they're doing is they're going to use the 4K assets and shrink that down to 1080p so you get even better detail on the 1080p since there's so few people with 4K resolution TVs. So that's, you know, and the developer, when you listen to the interview, he actually says, hey, it's running in 4K on Xbox One, but then later on, kind of, it's been clarified that what he's talking about is they're taking the 4K assets and shrinking it down. So I don't know. I don't actually think it's going to be a 4K game released, so I think that it's going to be interesting. Let's see. It's software-based, and they have confirmed that games that require peripherals such as Rock Band, Guitar Hero, DJ Hero will not be supported via backwards compatibility. Yeah, I understand that much of it, right? But here's the thing. With the newer Rock Band, you can use your old peripherals. You know, they give you this little thing that you can add on or whatever, and you can use your old guitars and drums or whatever you want, and you can actually import your old songs. So I think that that's kind of cool in that aspect. If you buy the new one, you can just buy the standalone game if you have the old stuff and get the adapter. It's like a Mad Catz adapter or whatever, and then you're going to be able to play all your old stuff, and I think that that's pretty kick-ass. Hey, crap. Recently quit the IGN podcast. This is from Art Boy Adrian. And if you guys all want to ask questions in here, that's cool. You know, I meant to do one of these when I hit like 14,000 subscribers or whatever, and I didn't get around to it. So feel free to ask whatever you guys want in the comment section if you're just joining them, and I'll try to answer. So Art Boy Adrian says, hey, crap, recently quit that IGN podcast Unlocked. Couldn't handle the garbage Brian and his co-host spill every week. You know, I think that, you know, he tries to do this coexist thing now, and I get that. I think that it's okay to coexist with gamers on other platforms. I'm perfectly fine with that. But the one thing that I would say is act like you like the console that you're doing the podcast for. You know what I mean? At least bring up some of the good stuff, because obviously there's not just bad stuff. There's good stuff too. You know, there's got to be a good median somewhere. But I think that the thing is you get a lot of hits and stuff like that by talking about negative stuff. But I don't think that when you have mostly Sony fans as your fans and you're an Xbox podcast, there's a problem. Like, I have a lot of Sony trolls on mine, but I would say out of, you know, I don't know how many subscribers I have, like 14,000 something, but I would say that maybe I have 400 to 500 subscribers that are actually the Sony ponies. The rest are Xbox dudes. You know, so I'm happy with that, you know, and you can see like the Sony ponies don't really don't bug me. You know, some of them are respectful. Some of them troll a little bit, and you can tell they're just trolling or whatever. And I'm fine with that. You know, but at the end of the day, I know who my channel is geared towards, and that's the Xbox people. And I'll try to be a good, positive voice for the Xbox. That's not to say it's perfect. Like, I was one of the first ones to bitch and say, hey, you know, it's been a little light the start of the year this year as far as AAA exclusives go. You know, and I think that I wasn't the only one. One of the fallacies is that Xbox people don't say anything bad about the console, and that's not the case, because we all said that. And Microsoft, you know, apparently listened, because they put Recore, the new exclusive, coming out Q1 next year. They also put, you know, Quantum Break Q1 next year, and that's important to get. I think they've learned a little bit from last year, because last year they had a really good kind of lineup, and they did Titanfall earlier in the year, and it did well. I think when you have new IP, you don't put your new IP up against all the established IP. You know, like that's what happened with Sunset Overdrive. You know, when you got your games going up against Assassin's Creed and Call of Duty and all those things, it's going to be hard to compete because it doesn't have the name. You know what I mean? That's what happened to Alan Wake as well. Alan Wake released up against Red Dead Redemption. Of course, Red Dead Redemption is going to win. You know what I mean? You know, it's a Rockstar game. Red Dead Revolver did well. People were excited for it. A lot of people knew about it. You know what I mean? So I think that you want to get your new IP out earlier, and then save your established IPs, your Halos, your Gears, your Forzas, save those for later in the year for the holidays. And I think that that's what they're going to do. And I'm excited for that. And I still think we'll see Scalebound sometime next year and Crackdown. And I think it's going to be a really good year. And I actually think I have high hopes that the PS4 will actually give me some games to play on that next year, you know. And I know it sounds like I'm beating a dead horse here, but come on, man, give me something. Hopefully Uncharted doesn't get delayed. It'd be cool to play Uncharted 4 in the spring, you know, nice little surprise or whatever. I'd be excited for it. You know what I mean? And that Horizon game looks interesting. I want to see more about that. It kind of came out of nowhere, and I think that you know, I'm definitely interested in seeing what that game can do. I like the female protagonist too. So, Eddie Bear says, "Do you think they gimp Batman for the Xbox One and PC on purpose?" No, I think this is what happened with Batman, right? I think it looks great, plays great. I haven't had any frame rate issues, and it looks beautiful on the Xbox One. I'm not sure what the frame rate is on that, but it plays great. It looks great. I think people take too much worry about what resolution these games are in. It looks great, and it plays. Same thing with Witcher 3. You know, just play the game. And now, as far as the PC version of Batman goes, they outsourced it. Rocksteady didn't do that game. They outsourced it because people just pirate PC games anyway. So why invest money and time and effort into a game that people are going to pirate, especially single-player games? Those are the most pirated, you know? If you look at Alan Wake on the 360 even, I think that thing was pirated something like 3-4 million times on PC when it released on PC. You know, it's a single-player only game, so that's bound to happen. So, yeah, I think that you're seeing developers not really pay much respect to the PC because PC gamers don't pay respect to the developers. And also, I don't think that about all PC gamers. Obviously, there's some that are okay and buy legitly and things like that. And congrats to you if you're one of those, but I know a lot don't. Mike Ortiz says, "What do you think about the new dashboard come out? I'm sure we will get more dashboards as the years go on, but wouldn't it be cool to have an option to change the dash to the one you like the most or swap them as you please?" You know what? This new dashboard is Windows 10. If you guys have seen the Windows 10 build, that's what it is. We're getting Windows 10 on Xbox One, and so that's what they're doing, and I like it. You know, some of you guys complain that, you know, it's unresponsive or whatever, and this makes it instant, you know, from what I've seen. And then the addition of Cortana with Connect, I think that that's really cool because you don't got to pause anything. You can search for things. You can do more than just, you know, word recognitions. You know, you can be like, "Hey, Cortana, this, and this, and this," and she'll listen. You know what I mean? And I think that's what's cool, and that's what makes Xbox One so great. And it's always been about the Connect, in my opinion. You know, that you know, I wish that it would have caught on, or people wouldn't have been so you know, suspicious or think it was going to spy on you or do all this weird stuff. So, because I think it's the complete experience when you add in Connect. Neon says, "Is there a DirectX 12 patch coming to Batman Arkham Knight?" There is. They said they're going to update it, but who knows what exactly they're going to be doing with that. I'm not sure exactly the situation or what it does. I think that like when you update a game that's already out with DirectX 12, I think what it does is stability and things like that. I'm not sure that it's going to do anything else, but I think that Arkham Knight already looks fantastic. Let's see. Any news from Windows 10 DirectX 12 update? I have no idea, man. I wish I knew. I wish I knew. I really did. I don't know. I know we're getting some interesting things coming out soon, but even as a preview member, I haven't really been told what's next, and I'm looking forward to see what we'll get. You know what I mean? And hopefully, when I do know, I'll let you guys know for sure, because I'm looking forward to obviously the Windows 10 stuff, and I'll do like a dashboard kind of presentation for you guys and stuff like that, so you guys can check it out. David Guerin says, "How far do you think Recore is in development, and do you know if there's any gameplay vids from E3 out there?" You know what? I don't think there's any gameplay vids. I think we might see some at Gamescom. And they interviewed the creator, who, if you guys don't know, he's also the creator of Mega Man, Mighty Number 9, Dead Rising, Metroid Prime. This game has already been in development 15 months, and it's supposed to release next spring. So you're looking at 26 month development time. That's not too bad, considering this game probably doesn't have, you know, looks like it's going to be a single player experience from what I can gather. And so I wouldn't think that would take much time. 2 years is plenty, because if you look at Gears 4, that's really just getting about 2.5 years of development. I think that that's a good amount of time considering how easy these games are to develop now. They're using the x86 stuff, and I think that that's helping developers. And obviously stuff like DirectX 12 will help developers. I'm not sure when we're going to start seeing built from the ground up DirectX 12 games, because believe it or not, Forza Motorsport 6, as good as that looks and as much as that's doing, they're only using DirectX 11 on that, or a variation of it, because they asked Dan Greenawald about it, and he says, well, we don't have DirectX 12 yet. We're using a variation of DirectX 11, but since they were actually, interesting thing about Turn 10 is they were involved with the development of the Xbox One, so obviously they're going to know how to do a lot more things with that game, with that system and their games than anybody else, and I think that's that's a little bit interesting, in my opinion. Those are China. Oh, someone trying to damage control. Those are China and Russian PC gamers who pirate everything. We don't buy games on PC, yet Witcher 3 has 1.4 million sold. Dude, 1.4 million sold on PC, and how much did it sell on consoles, bro? And how many's been pirated already? And don't sit there and try and say it's all Russian and Chinese, because I remember when Far Cry 4 released on PC, and everybody in America started complaining about it because it was missing something, and the developers are like, well, if you're missing that, guess what? You pirated the game. So I think that obviously, it's a situation where you can try and like pass the buck and say it's this country or that country, but I know for a damn fact that people in America pirate, and people everywhere pirate, Otherwise, there wouldn't be torrent sites. You can pretty much look up Pirate Bay or any of these torrents, like kick-ass torrents, and you can see that there's a ton of PC games on there. So I know for a fact that people all over pirate. So you can try to damage control all you want, and I'm not saying that all PC gamers do, but a lot of them do. So, I mean, that's something that you can, I guess, kind of deal with or not deal with. That doesn't really matter to me. You know what I mean? You can deny it all you want. I don't really care. That's my opinion. Suck it. Tadpole says maybe Sony's lineup is so sparse because there aren't any Kickstarters set up for Sony to gauge interest in having exclusives. I've beat this dead horse already enough, Tadpole. I agree. I think it's absolutely fucking ridiculous that a multi-billion-dollar company is gauging interest, quote unquote, by using Kickstarter, and they have a list of games and what a controller that they want fans to kickstart, because where does it fucking end? You know what I mean? We're buying the consoles. What do they want us to fund the fucking development of the console too? So let's fund the development of the consoles, buy the console, fund the development of the games, buy the games, pay for their shitty online network that doesn't work and never improves. I mean, seriously, what do we need Sony for at that point? At some point, I think gamers have to wake up and see that Sony's being a little bit lazy with this, and they're not exactly treating the fans with the respect that they kind of deserve. And it was interesting because I did something that I don't usually do, which is troll a little bit on the official PlayStation blog. When I seen that Driveclub is going to get released tomorrow, right, the PlayStation Plus version, I was the first one to comment on there, or else I wouldn't comment. So I commented. I was like, because in the blog they're like, yeah, you're going to be able to get the critically acclaimed racer from Evolution Studios. And so I put something along these lines: critically acclaimed, since when is a 71 meta critically acclaimed? You know what I mean? Because in my opinion, that's not. And people being happy about this shit, you know what I mean? Like, oh, hey, here's here thank you. I mean, people are actually like, oh, man, Sony rocks. And I'm like, are you serious? Sony rocks? Sony rocks for giving you a game, a PlayStation Plus version that's not even fully the PlayStation Plus version because there's no online, and you guys are thanking them. Sony has a way of coming out looking better than they should. And that's what kind of pisses me off about Sony. It's not that I hate Sony or hate like the Sony ponies or anything like that. It's the fact that they get away with so much. You know what I mean? When I know for a fact, if Microsoft went to Kickstarter and tried to pull that shit with Shenmue 3, no matter how much money they were putting in or how little, people would be all over them. And that's the kind of situation that kind of pisses me off. And I think that, fans and people need to kind of catch on to what's going on and say it's not okay. We shouldn't say, oh, okay, Sony, thanks for showing us The Last Guardian again. how could people? I'm glad it looks like, according to Amazon, that game didn't even crack the top 100 after E3. People have caught on. The game didn't look good. It wasn't a live stage demo. There's no release date, and now Sony's already kind of recanted and said it's probably not coming out next year. So, I mean, at this point, you know, you got to chalk that up to be a loss. I mean, look, I'm an Xbox fan, but is Phantom Dust going to be a thing? I don't think that it is. I'm not going to sit there and hold my hopes on it and be like, Phantom Dust this year, guys. You know what I mean? Because at least Microsoft was honest and say, hey, it's not canceled, but it's not in development either. You know, imagine if Sony had just said that a few years ago, or been honest with people. You know, they don't, if they would just stop being so full of shit, then I think that I would actually enjoy their products a little bit more. But the fact that they kind of bullshit people and lie and kind of dance around the truth, I think that kind of pisses me off, and I can't get on board with that. You know, I just can't. I'm not going to be able to. You know, I just think that they're real shady, and they're even shady with that Morpheus stuff. First, they said it's going to be out Q1 2016. And now they're saying, oh, well, we don't know when it's going to be out. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on, man, make up your mind. And the games that they were putting out for this thing really just kind of looked like 360 Connect games, you know, like that boom ball game where you hit the ball back or whatever. And, you know, I didn't think there was anything really interesting or amazing that they showed off for Morpheus. You know, I was looking. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I have a PS4. If they were going to come out and do something kick-ass, and I think that I would have been interested. Probably not, but, you know, it would have maybe been something that I rent. I don't know. Let me see here. Look for more questions. If you guys have questions, Optimus Spec says, crap, you have to make a video about that Xbox One Forza edition. It's beautiful. You know what? Microsoft is fucking fire on all cylinders, because check this out. You know they're going to do a Halo edition. They've already announced that. It's going to be phenomenal. They're coming out with this Forza Motorsport 6 console special edition. It's got the racing stripe. It's blue. The controller is blue. It comes with Forza Motorsport 6. It's a 1 terabyte hard drive, and it's $399. I mean, to me, that deal can't be beat. That's a phenomenal deal, and I think that's going to sell a ton. And people are really excited for Forza Motorsport 6. It's the best racing franchise around. Let's be honest. It is. It's just there's nothing better. Let's see. Titles that could possibly be built from the ground up with DirectX 12. Not really that it matters. Gears 4, Scalebound, and Crackdown. But after all is said and done, the Xbox One really doesn't need DirectX 12 to be an awesome gaming console. Dude, I'm agreeing 100%, because well, first of all, Unreal Engine 4 is built with DirectX 12. So anything using Unreal Engine 4 is DirectX 12 enabled. So, you know, your Fable Legends, your Gears 4s, your all that stuff, right? But yeah, it's like it doesn't need any kind of secret sauce or magic dust or anything like that. What happened with this generation was Sony was lacking games, and they still are. And so they hype up the power and this and resolution. The fact of the matter is, if Microsoft pulled that shit last gen and brought up how many all the different res and frames per second differences there were between 360 and PS3 versions of games, they would have buried the PS3 even more than they did, because they didn't do that, though. I mean, it was obvious. If you played Call of Duty on Xbox 360, you were getting like a 720p game and a pretty steady, almost 60 constant frames per second. If you played the PS3 version, which, keep in mind, I had both, and I would often buy a version on both because my clan was on both consoles, and we would play like Call of Duty 4, Black Ops, Modern Warfare 2 on both consoles. You know, and so you'd have to go back and forth, and it was so bad on the PS3. Oh my gosh, it was awful. Like, for the longest time, I was like, what is that? Is that lag? But no, it's just the frame rate drops, you know what I mean? Just all the time on that console. And it got completely ridiculous, just completely. Yeah, so I have to say that I think that last generation had a much bigger gap in the quality of games between the consoles, and the PlayStation fanboys were perfectly fine with it. So I don't see why, like this is what happens, right? I see people post, and I hate it, right? Like, what I do is for entertainment and for fun, and I like gaming and I like entertaining you guys, and it's a good laugh. I never take it serious. But when I go to these Facebook groups and I see, or even these sites, and you see Batman Arkham Knight, here's the PC version versus Xbox One version, the PS4 version, and I'm fucking sitting there straining to look, and it looks the goddamn same on every fucking one. You know what I mean? That's the shit that pisses me off. I'm so sick of it. You know what I mean? Just absolutely sick of it. And yeah, I just think I just think that it's like ridiculous, because if you only have an Xbox One and you're buying Batman Arkham Knight, are you really going to care that it's 900p? Right? I mean, are you going to run a PS4 right next to it and strain and count pixels, or are you just going to play the fucking amazing game? And I think the answer is pretty clear: play the fucking amazing game, and shut up about it. I just think that so many people are focused on the wrong thing this generation, and not for entertainment purposes like me. What I do is entertainment. I want to have a good time. I want to talk about my passion for gaming. I prefer Xbox, true enough. But at the same time, if the PlayStation has good games and games that I want, I have no problem getting them. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, man, this sucks. I'm looking forward to Uncharted 4. That Horizon game looks good. I'm hoping they come out with some cool stuff. I'm still holding out hopes that they resurrect stuff like Resistance, Jack and Dexter, and Siphon Filter, because I like those games. As a long-time PlayStation fan, maybe you guys can sympathize with the fact that I liked what they were doing with their exclusives back in the day, and I don't like that they got away from that. You know what I mean? You guys can sit there and think they're the White Knights because they weren't going to do DRM or didn't announce DRM, and but that doesn't excuse them from not having games for their console going on 3 years, and that's the part that pisses me off. Also, the part that pisses me off is paying for their online network that actually doesn't work most of the time, and it's the same as the free. You know what I mean? I'm not impressed with their network. I'm not impressed with what they've done so far. So, yeah, maybe that helps understand. It's not a hatred thing. It's just a feel kind of ripped off kind of thing. Let's see. Yeah, the Xbox One Forza Edition sounds like when you start the engine, when you car, it's fantastic. Yeah, it's blue. I know. I saw it, dude. I saw the dude undo it. So, Jay Maynard says, what do you think about Call of Duty going to PS4? At first I was kind of like, oh my gosh, how can Microsoft do this? But basically what happened when they first announced Black Ops 3, the best-selling version on Amazon was the Xbox One version. You know what I mean? The Xbox 360 version is also up there now as well, selling really well. So I think that it's so ingrained with people to be an Xbox thing, that people are just going to buy it on that anyway. And I think that was Microsoft's thinking, right? And in my opinion, basically Sony needed to make kind of a splash, and they thought that was going to be a big splash. But I think we are all pretty tired of seeing Call of Duty at Microsoft's press conference every year. It got really monotonous and kind of the same old thing. You know what I mean? Like, you can still play it on your Xbox. I think everybody realizes you can still play it on your Xbox. There's big advertisement for Black Ops 3 on your Xbox. I got an email saying I could pre-order it from Microsoft. I got an email from GameStop saying I could pre-order it. I just think that, if we all know that it's coming to Xbox, so it's not like it's a big deal. And Sony spent $50 million on that. I would rather Microsoft spend that money on, their first party stuff. It looks like they're investing in their first party and their exclusives, and I'm cool with that. I can still play Call of Duty and Battlefront, Destiny, even though I hate Destiny. I can still play those games on my Xbox One, even if it's not advertised on there. Hell, I'm playing Batman on there, and that was advertised. Sony has an agreement to advertise with them as well. So it's not like I can't play these games. Like I said, I was excited from Sony's press conference at E3 because I got to see what third-party games I'd be playing on my Xbox One this year. So in that aspect, it all kind of worked out for the best, for me anyway. I'm going to answer some more questions because you guys are pretty kick-ass tonight and on the ball. And I do appreciate, okay, Destiny Lover Legary. Hey, Crap, have you seen any news on if Tomb Raider will have a multiplayer? Again, I think it may not be around this time since the last one was tacked on big time. Yeah, there's no multiplayer in this one, thank God. But actually what was interesting was the multiplayer was absolutely tacked on because it was handled by a completely different studio. So I'm glad it's not. Blazing Phoenix says, after Microsoft's E3, Xbox One is making a comeback. Backwards compatibility and great exclusives will win Microsoft the generation. So keep it Xbox. I agree, Blazing Phoenix, bro. Keep it Xbox. And I think that they made the biggest announcements and showed off the best games. Skylar says, do you think the Xbox will ever have backwards compatibility for the original Xbox games? What will be the best game at Gamescom 2015? I do think the Xbox will have backwards compatibility with the Xbox One will have backwards compatibility with the OG Xbox. And the reason I say that is because they're both x86 architecture. So if you guys didn't know, the original Xbox was x86. Then they went to PowerPC for some reason. I think it was cheaper or something on last gen. They went PowerPC, and now they went back to x86, which is what PC uses and things like that. So I think it'd be pretty easy, and you might not even have to emulate the original Xbox. You might be able to just do the kind of native. I'm not sure how exactly that stuff works out because I'm not the most technical kind of savvy guy with that stuff, but I could see them doing that pretty easily. And there is some software out there that allows you to do like achievements or things like that. So I could see Microsoft adding an achievement kind of system on original Xbox games, and I think that would be kick-ass. I'm all for it, man. I'm all for letting me, break out and play KOTOR or whatever, you know what I mean? I'd be excited for it. Tadpole says, what are your front runners for game of the year? So far, the two that would be Witcher 3 and Batman. I'm not, I'm about, I think according to the game, it says I'm about like 12 or 15% done with it. And I think that game's absolutely phenomenal. I think that the story's great. The voice acting is great. It's dark. It's fun. It's amazing. The graphics are amazing. And The Witcher 3 is also phenomenal and amazing. And I just think it's, those two right now are probably the tops. But I think that stuff like Tomb Raider will be right in the mix. And the same thing with stuff like Halo. I think that's going to be in the mix as well. Although Halo won't get any love from like the mainstream media in as far as game of the year or anything like that. Mike Ortiz says it sounds like Sony is hanging by a thread. They don't know when products are coming out. Most of their games don't have release date. That's sad. Maybe they're doing worse than expected. Sure sounds like it because they've got shit for games. You know what? This is what I never understood about Sony. Whenever they release a console, and you can look into this, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and PlayStation 4, it takes them literally at minimum 2 years before they get what I would consider like a killer app. You know what I mean? Just it takes them a long time. Like the PS3, it really wasn't until Metal Gear came out when what I would consider a killer app, and I think that was like over a year later. So I think that it's interesting that, and then the PS4, what did they have that can be considered a killer app? I still don't think they have a killer app. I think you can look at stuff like, was it another Infamous game? I mean, that's to me is not a killer app. Killzone, that's not a killer app. Knack, Bloodborne, that's really kind of a niche title, like one of those Japanese titles. I think that they don't have that like amazing title that people buy PlayStations for. Like when you think PlayStation, you think like Gran Turismo, God of War, and probably newer game like Uncharted, and the fact that you're going to wait 3, 4, maybe 5 years. And what the hell takes that developer so long to do Gran Turismo games, right? Because look, Turn 10 and Playground Games crank out a game every 2 years, right? So, last 2014, we saw Forza Horizon 2. 2016, we'll see Forza Horizon 3. They're already confirmed to be working on the game or whatever, right? And the interesting thing is, they built the games from the ground up. When they went from Forza 4 to Forza 5, from the 360 to the Xbox One, they had to redo everything. And so they were still able to do that in 2 years. Yeah, it was a little sparse on stuff at launch for Forza 5, but why does it take Polyphony Digital, who do Gran Turismo, why does it take them like 4 or 5 years to do the game when they're importing the majority of their cars from previous titles from previous generations? And they're even talking about importing PS2 cars and tracks into their next game. So why does it take them so long to get that? You know what I mean? It's like the simplest things that Sony used to do, like have a good car game from a first party studio. You know what I mean? Like in my opinion, why didn't Evolution Studios stick to MotoStorm? That what they were good at. Those games were pretty good. It seems like they went to Driveclub, got away from what they were actually good at, and they've suffered for it. You know what I mean? It's like Sony their first party used to have quality. You know, they had a good first party racer. They had a good first party. They've always had good first party. You know, like well, I don't know about RPGs, but they had really good first party platformers for sure. They've got a good first party sports game in the show. You know, I think if you're a baseball fan, that's really good. Um, but as far as anything else, I mean, yeah, they got a good first party adventure game, but they used to have so much more. I mean, Sony's first party was where it was at. And now lately they've kind of really gotten away from that, and that's kind of sad. So let's see here. I'll check out some more comments. Optimus Specs. Knack is the best game of the PS4. It's a killer app. Kills me with boredom. Oh my gosh, that game sucks. Here's the thing. That game should have been like a download title for like $20, right? I'm just going to be honest. That should have been like a $20 game. You know, it's kind of sad that that it was a $60 game. And I mean, it's a short game, first of all. Second of all, there's a static camera in this day and age. I mean, that game come out for the PlayStation 4. It had a static fucking camera, and the enemies disappeared. You know, when you play new games, you want to kind of feel some of that new experience, some of that new, you know, power and things like that. That's why the first game I played was Rise, because even though it wasn't the best game, it showed off graphically. It gave me, you know, that ooh, ah kind of feeling that you get when you make a generational jump. When you put in Knack, you're like, what the hell? You know what I mean? That does not scream next generation to me. So I think that, yeah, it's kind of shitty. Let's see. Russell, let's see. What do you got to say here, bro? You're saying, Crapster, people keep in the media keep proclaiming Sony and the PS4 won E3 like 3 years in a row. What I want to know is what E3 announcement from the past 3 years from Sony have, one, lived up to the hype, two, are actually out or are out in the wild, and three, are unique exclusive games and features to the PlayStation. I don't really know. You know, it's interesting because Sony has this way of making you thank them even when they fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, people are like, oh my God, The Last Guardian. You know, and in my opinion, the fans should have been like, holy shit, Sony, you guys made us wait all this time. You didn't even do a live demo. You didn't give us a release date, and the game looked downgraded as hell. You know what I mean? People shouldn't have been saying, oh my God, Sony, thank you. With the whole Shenmue thing, they should have been like saying what we were saying. Sony, are you in on this? If you're in on this, you should be doing a Kickstarter. If you want to gauge interest, send out flyers or do surveys. You know what I mean? I take a lot of surveys from Microsoft. They don't sit there and make me spend money to see if they're interested in a game or if I'm interested. You know, so I think that that's kind of you know, how I look at things anyway. General Mike 74 says The Last of Us is PS4's killer app. You know what? I don't know if you're trolling me. I think you're not. I think you're an Xbox dude. And that is the problem, Mike, is because the PS4's killer app is a PS3 game. You know what I mean? It'd be like, as much as I like Halo, you know, it'd be like me saying the Master Chief Collection is the Xbox One killer app. You know, it's just a remaster or recollection or whatever. You know what I mean? That obviously is not going to be the killer app. So. Tadpole says they said Destiny was going to be the Halo killer, and Bungie left Microsoft because they were greedy. Look how the tanks have turned, dude. Yeah, I agree. Just look at the yeah. I mean, it's funny because everybody was talking up this game. Even I did. I bought Destiny day one. I was excited for it. I thought that at the very least I would get a kick-ass story, kind of like how Halo does it, but they didn't do that. You know, it was terrible. The last time I played the game, they hadn't even put in the raids yet. So, yeah, that tells you how long I played that game. I think I made it to level 19 or 20, and, you know, we played it a lot. And I was like, okay, when you go back and play the same level, you know, for the 10th time to level up, yeah, you know that the game's not fun. So, yeah, I didn't spend much time with it. I'm not going to buy any more games. And the fact that when it's all said and done, you end up spending, I think it came out to like $240 for the complete Destiny 1 thing or whatever. I think that that's a complete ripoff. And a lot of that DLC was already on the disc. And next year they're just going to announce Destiny 2, you know, so you'll have to do it all over again. Moke Key says Shenmue sold 1.2 million copies. Yeah, I mean, it could have sold 1.2 million, and that's really not that great. I don't know if you're combining Shenmue 1 and 2, but think about this. Back when that game came out, it was the most expensive game ever made. I think it was something like 45 million. And you adjusted for inflation, I think that's something like 80 million nowadays. That's just an insane number. Just to be sure, that's just a crazy, crazy number considering The Witcher 3 cost, would they say 67 to make and for all the marketing. So think about that. With inflation, Shenmue cost more than a Witcher, and Witcher didn't make any money until it hit 4 million sold. So yeah, Shenmue actually was one of the reasons that Sega kind of went under, was because it was so expensive. Wayne says, is Tom Clancy's Division been downgraded? I don't know if it's been downgraded. I think that I think that it's a situation where what we see from Ubisoft in particular is they show stuff on PC, and they don't show stuff on like your buddy Phil's PC or your buddy Tim's PC. They show stuff on like next gen 720's PC. You know, you're talking $12,000, $15,000, $20,000 PCs that nobody has. You know what I mean? And so I think that is what happens, because they want to show their game. And you know what? Everybody does this. I think probably Microsoft and Sony both show stuff on. They want to show the best looking game that they can. So it's very rare to actually see any of these games shown on the console that they're going to actually be out on. So I think that's just something we got to get used to. Jay says, do you think MLG would go with PS4? I think Microsoft sponsors MLG, so I'm not sure that that it'll switch to PS4, but that doesn't, concern me one way or the other. I think that Halo is going to have a strong MLG kind of appearance as well. Aaron says, do you think the media will give Tomb Raider a bad review? I hope not, but I don't think it'll get a bad reviews. I think that it'll get some deductions because it's on the Xbox One only or Xbox exclusive. You're already seeing it with the media, right? Like, I thought they did a phenomenal job with the stuff they showed at E3, but the media was like kind of lukewarm to it. You don't hear anything upset. And you know what? All these big sites, IGN and Games Radar and Destructoid and GameSpot did their most anticipated lists for E3 2015, and most of them put stuff like Rock Band, a Guitar Hero, Persona 5, and very rarely did you see a Tomb Raider, and I've never heard of that before, especially of a game that won quite a few Game of the Year awards. The reboot did in 2013. It sold almost 9 million copies. It's got a really high Metacritic score. I think that it's ridiculous that more people weren't talking about it and hyping it up. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Crazy, whatever the hell your name says, does Microsoft pay you if you do not read or say anything about this comment? That will tell me that they do. No, you know what? Microsoft doesn't pay me. I do what I do because I prefer the Xbox, and I feel like there's a negative slant towards Sony in the media. So I'll continue to kind of do my own thing, and you can get negative Xbox news anywhere. I think people come here to get more of the positive Xbox news, and I'm happy with that. Jay says, what do you think they will show at Gamescom? Well, we know they're showing Crackdown, Quantum Break, and Scalebound, but I also think we're going to get an announcement of Killer Instinct Season 3, probably an RTS, maybe another new exclusive as well. So I'm really excited to see what they do, because they're already hyping up Gamescom, and they have no competition there because Sony and Nintendo aren't there. So all eyes on Microsoft, and I think that they're actually going to do a show even better possibly than what they did at E3. So I'm excited for it. Juan Punisher says, I saw the IGN about Tomb Raider and they shit all over the game. I thought it looks really good. Yeah, you know what? Like I said, they're pissed off that it's an Xbox exclusive. A lot of those dudes are ponies undercover or whatever you want to say. They're not Xbox dudes. So, um, the Avenger 2015 says, I want the Forza 6 Xbox One console. Aren't you usually a troll, like a big Sony guy? And there you are saying you want the Forza 6 Xbox One console. Hey, I don't blame you. Hard to beat that deal, am I right? 1 terabyte, blue, custom with sounds, and Forza 6 for $399. That's a hell of a deal. Carlos Perez says, I have a suspicion that the creators of Shenmue are not good at managing their money. I would agree with you 100%. Even did they raise the thing to 10 million or something? I mean, they want $10 million. That's just a ridiculous amount of money. Um, well, it's in your hands. I just be careful. If you're a Sony fan and you're like, oh, Crap Gamer sucks, he's so biased, at least think about this. Do you really want to live in a world where you have to fund the games that you're going to buy as well? I mean, where does it stop? To be honest with you, that's what I would question. To be honest with you, let's see. I wish games like Legacy of Kain would make a comeback. I love Condemned 1 and 2, although 2, the ending kind of went 180. As far as PS4 goes, I have never liked the controller or the UI. I agree that, well, the UI, to be honest with you, is just the PS3 UI kind of perfected. So, it's not my favorite thing. I don't really like the controller as much either, but, it's not terrible. The PS4 controller is much better than the PS3. The PS3 controller was really bad. Shill Ghost says, do you think Xbox will win the June NPD? Well, I think so. I think it'll be close, but I think they'll win it. If you look at, they won May. Oh, wait, hold on. They won April. They lost May by 12,000, I think. So I think that they could win June, especially coming off a strong E3. Right after E3, like if you're late to this video, the title of the video is because basically Amazon, well, this one was particular in the UK, but the Rare Replay, which was the unannounced game, was #1 pre-ordered thing there. And Forza Motorsport 6 saw a over 1,000% increase in pre-orders after its E3 showing, which was #1. And the Xbox One was at the top 10, and the new Xbox One hardcore controller, the Elite controller, whatever it is, it was in the top 10 for hardware as well. So Microsoft is definitely doing a lot of the right things, and I think the fans are kind of responding to that. So I think that you'll see also covered with the fact that the Halo White bundle, the Master Chief Collection bundle for $349, and those also, a lot of those came with a $50 card as well, depending on where you got it from. Those came out at the end of last month, so that would be at the start of this month as well. So you will see that bump as well. So I do actually think they'll win. They'll win June NPD, and I think it'll be close. And I think they'll continue to be kind of close until the holidays. But I do think that once like September, October, November, December come around, you'll see Microsoft really kind of, take Sony out to the woodshed, because Sony's been a bad boy, and they're going to take them up, tie that up, and switch them. You know what I mean? That's what's going to happen. Let's see. I'm going to do a few more questions from you guys. If you guys want to get them in, I'll be happy to answer them, or, whatever. Or if not, it don't matter. Just having a good time, hanging out, talking some games. I actually want to get back to the Avengers 2015 says, fuck Sony. I'm going to the dark side, Xbox One E3. Dude, I can't tell even if you're trolling anymore, to be honest with you, dude. You troll me so much, man. I don't know. But yeah, Xbox, I'm not going to knock you. If you want to get that Forza Motorsport Xbox console, looks awesome. And I like what they're doing, because that's kind of the stuff they did with the 360 with like the cool designs and the colors and the sounds and stuff. I'm all for that. Tadpole says that Gamescom, Phil Spencer should bring out Yoshida in a cage and launch a Kickstarter for his freedom. I agree, Tadpole. That would be epic. Destroyer Man 64 says, would you like Microsoft to continue their approach of showing games coming out that year at E3, games coming out the following year at Gamescom? You know what I thought they did was really cool was they did show mostly stuff coming out this year at E3, but they also showed a couple of things coming out next year. Like we saw Rare's game Sea of Thieves, that's coming out next year. We saw Recore that's coming out next year. So I think that mix it up. They showed a few new IP, that are coming out next year. So show a little bit of the future, but don't show the future that's coming 2-3 years from now. Show it maybe a year in advance, but not 2, 3, 4 years. They also showed Gears 4, which looked phenomenal. So yeah, I think that's the right way to do it. So let's see. Russell says, I thought people hated on Xbox due to third-party marketing deals with DLC first, etc. I thought Yoshida hated games with an annualized release, yet they partner up with Call of Duty and they partnered up with Assassin's Creed, I'll point out. I thought people teased us for being dude bro shooter box with no exclusives, yet this gen we have more high-profile exclusives that are either out now or later this year. Yeah, you know what? I agree. There's a lot of hypocrisy that goes on in the gaming industry. It kind of sucks. Actually, that comment that you made is pretty kick-ass, man. I'm going to give you a round of applause. There's a lot of hypocrisy going on, and good job for pointing that out. I'm happy that you kind of pointed that out. That's awesome. Hey, Thomas Barker says, what do you think will have the biggest hype during this holiday, Xbox or Sony? Oh, I think that's Xbox all day. Sony doesn't have any games for the holiday. They're kind of stuck. They don't have anything. So I think that they're not gonna do much as far as they're not gonna do nearly the numbers that Microsoft does. When is the Xbox conference during Gamescom? Will it be live streamed? Yeah, the conference will probably be live streamed on your Xbox and stuff, and probably Twitch. I'm not sure exactly when it is. I'll look into that. I know it's only probably 4 weeks away now. So yeah, I think that it's going to be interesting. Jay says, what do you think about Halo or Warzone for Halo 5? I think that looks fantastic. I like it. I like what they're doing with it. I think that Halo, you can't stay the same where it's real. Like if you go back and play Halo 3 or Halo 2, it's very slow paced, slow moving. A lot of it has to do with only 30 frames per second and no sprint and things like that. When you play Halo 4 and like some of the newer stuff, I think that you get the idea. When you see Warzone, you see where Halo has to go in order to succeed and compete. And it's not like Call of Duty at all, but it's its own thing, but it's evolving its own thing. And I think that that's extremely important. Let's see. What do we have here? I'm going to refresh this one more time, and then I'm going to answer those questions that come up, and then I'm out. What's your gamer tag, Crap Gamer? I got a squad that I like to go to for Halo 5. MOH space Crap Gamer. So MOH space Crap Gamer. Hey, Crap Gamer, you, Red Dragon, and some other dude who I'm not really affiliated with are my favorite YouTubers. Hey, dude, you know what? No hate from me, man. You can like who you want. Red Dragon, I've never talked to, or met either of those guys. But, watch who you want. Enjoy what you want, man. I appreciate you watching me, though. I'm not going to hate on that, so I appreciate it. Let's see. Gag and Quack says, just got a Xbox One, and he's got to say it ain't bad. Oh no, that's kind of a little rant there or whatever. But yeah, Xbox One's a beast. I will say that. He says, check your console crap. Xbox just sent an invite as a preview to participate in the Battlefield BF or CTE. I know in the past you said Battlefield 4 isn't your main deal, but to me it's awesome. We get all of the new Battlefront 4 developments like on PC and other feature PS4 is not getting. Yeah, I'll check it out, man. What do you think about Batman being 900p at a time when we all know that Xbox One can do 1080p? You know what? I think that if Rocksteady put it at that, it's so that the performance doesn't take a hit. Like, as far as I'm concerned, frame rate over anything else, I don't think it's a big deal. Let's see here. What do you think about games with gold on Xbox One? In my opinion, they're pretty garbage so far. I agree. There's been very few that have been any good on Xbox One or PS4. In fact, I don't even bother downloading them for the most part. Yeah, I just think they're bad. They take up hard drive space, and I'm not going to play them. Juan says, I'm a Sony guy, but I'm playing my Xbox One more. Yeah, I agree with you 100 points. 100%. Bryce360 says, GameSpot give the edge to Sony, but in their E3 2015 review, he points out half their team is Sony fanboys, and he said he shouldn't grade the showing because he didn't see anything of Microsoft. He said it was too far to walk to the Xbox One showroom. I would have fired my employee for saying that trash. It was completely unprofessional. Well, you have to remember the source. I don't watch GameSpot at all because those are the people that couldn't find the settings, on the Xbox One, and you just push the equivalent of the guide button and it pops up, or you say Xbox, go to settings. So, yeah, I think that's kind of unfortunate, but yeah. Anyway, man, I appreciate everybody coming by and kind of impromptu thing, but I just wanted to get a video out just so that you guys had a little bit of entertainment today. Oh, Grim, here you are, the troll, man. I was wondering. He says, as bad as traditional gaming is in the Asian markets due to mobile, the Xbox One is by far the laughing stock that sells barely 100 units. Microsoft are pissing money away down the drain there. Hey, I don't think that they should. I'm fine with them pulling out of there. But like my boy Mooch said today on Twitter, when somebody said that the PS4 or the PS3 was outselling it like 15 to 1 or 100 to 1 or whatever it was, Mooch responded, hey, chopsticks are outselling forks over there 100 to 1, but are you switching the chopsticks anytime soon? And I think the answer is fucking no. You know what I mean? To me, it never really mattered. Like I'll talk up sales because I think it's funny when it pisses off people. But what people don't understand is the sales situation doesn't piss me off. I don't get mad over that because I can't play sales. You know what I mean? I can't. It's not something I can put in my PS4. It's like, okay, PS4, you're the sales king. What does that get me? Because I'm not playing it. You know what I mean? There's nothing on there to play. So that literally means jack shit to me. You know what I mean? So you guys, one day will probably get that, hopefully. Did you see at IGN E3 that Phil Spencer talked about Call of Duty? Why he do that if they don't have the exclusive anymore? Because Phil's honest guy and he answers questions when they asked him. So, do you think Xbox One will grab 360 players' attention since they'll be able to play 360 games on it? I already see that happening, dude. And the fact that I've got like 300, 400 people asking for preview program invites now since E3. And you can see that like games like Skyrim and Mass Effect are all actually selling really well on 360 again on Amazon and GameStop and all those places. So I think it's interesting and we'll see a lot more. I think we're seeing a lot more now. Witness the Truth says, where the hell is that Pony Next Gen 480i? Anyway, I believe backwards compatibility and rare replay were the major announcements of E3. Next Gen is at Walmart or with someone's granny or something. I don't know. But yeah, I pre-ordered rare replay from. If you guys didn't know, if you guys still buy discs, I buy discs. But anything like the new stuff coming out, if you pre-ordered on the Microsoft store, they give you a $10 credit Xbox Live gift card or whatever through email. So I pre-ordered a few games there, Rare Replay and the Gears Ultimate, because then you end up with $20 Xbox Live credit and you can just spend it on DLC or arcade games or whatever the hell you want, but it's a good time. So I'm going to answer maybe two more and then I'm out of here for the day. Gonna go play some more Batman. That game's phenomenal. Let's see. Eastsider 49er says Shenmue and Shenmue 2 sold a combined 1.6 million units on two systems. Not much, in my opinion, to care. You know what? I agree. I think it's a niche thing. I think that a lot of people, like the places like NeoGAF, really care about that stuff and like on forums and stuff. But for me, it's just not something that's going to be huge, and the whole Kickstarter thing kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. Cornelius Knox says 3DS is the best-selling console in Japan. Not even the PS4 sound like that. Well, they like their mobile stuff there. You know what I mean? Danny Boone says, laughing my ass off. That comeback to Graham. Yeah, dude, you know what? Like, I'm quick on my feet when not literally, but when it comes to sarcasm and things like that. So That's why people watch me, man. You know, I'm funny, I'm witty, I, you know, come up with interesting shit. I'm just mostly off the cuff and I have an interesting take, you know what I mean? So I think that's why people come here. Do you think PC on Xbox are going to get closer and closer together? I think that you'll never see day and date releases like Halo 5 on Xbox One and PC. You won't see that. You might see older stuff. Like I could see them maybe releasing the Master Chief Collection on PC after Halo 5 comes out on Xbox One, because who would care? I could see them releasing Forza Motorsport 5 on PC after Forza Motorsport 6 comes out on Xbox One, because who cares? That's 3 Forzas ago, you know what I mean? So I think we're going to see some stuff, you know what I mean, but we're not going to see a big situation where things are going to release a lot at the same time. I think that Microsoft sees that as their platform. You know, I'm just being quite honest with you. They see PC as Microsoft. So you're going to see some stuff, but I don't think everything. I think you're going to see where it makes sense, and a lot of stuff isn't going to be day and date at the same time. So, yeah. I'm going to refresh this one more time, see what else I got. Do you think if PS4 only showed games for this year and next year, they would they even been in the contest for E3? I think they needed to show some games for this year and next year. Clint Forbes says next gen 720 phony as hell. He'd be looking for click video beef, and on the internet he's funny lame. Dude, I don't know what you're talking about, man. Next gen doesn't really do that anymore. I'm not sure that he ever did it much. Just as long as I've kind of been doing Big Gamer Small Talk with him, and I talk to him and stuff all the time, he doesn't really do that. He does videos just like me. It's not beef. It's not. There's people out there that do beef videos mostly, you know. But Next Gen kind of thinks of it the same way I do. Is if you have a gaming channel, why would you do or focus your videos on other men instead of games? That never made sense to me, and that's why I've never done a beef video about another YouTuber or anybody else. I just do it about games. It might not be, you know, the traditional news or whatever in gaming, but it's always gaming related, and I think that that's important. You know what I mean? It's always my take. You know, I treat gaming news almost like how a Rush Limbaugh takes political news and does a radio show. You know what I mean? A lot of it's controversial. I have an interesting take. I have an interesting perspective. I've been gaming for 26, 27 years. And people, you know, either hate what I have to say, but they still like to hear what I say. That's what I'm good at. You know, I'm good at pissing people off. I probably pissed off Xbox guys in the past, but they still come back. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's not personal. It's just giving my opinion, and that's just how it is, and that's what I'll continue to do. So Next Gen is a cool dude. He does a great show on his channel, Big Gamer Small Talk. Our brand is really good. We're hoping to do more stuff next year. So buy some of our merchandise. You know, I linked the link to like the hoodies and shirts and stuff. Buy our stuff. Help us get to some of these places. Hey, Crap, have you ever personally met the other guys on Big Gamer Small Talk? No, we're trying to get that. If you guys buy our shirts and stuff, we're hoping to get to like E3 and some of these other events next year. So buy our stuff, and that kind of goes into our funds. And, you know, it's quite expensive because some of those guys live on the East Coast and stuff. We're hoping to – I think you guys would enjoy that, right? If we did some location stuff. If we were at E3, we could definitely, like, you know, talk to some of the bigger – higher ups at Microsoft or whoever, and you know, like Tim Dog was at E3 this year. You know what I mean? We're trying to get there. We're working on it, man. Work with us, help us out. You know, support us. We're trying to be as good as we can. We always felt like we were the positive force and the positive voice for Xbox. I'm not saying that we're the definitive voice or anything like that, but you know, we do what we can. And with that, I'm going to take off for the night. I want to say I appreciate you guys coming out, and rack them up, man. I'll see you guys next time. Crap Gamer out.